Okie dokie, artichoke. This is not a review, just sort of a spotlight, highlight, brief look. This stuff just came out. This thing just came out. This is a new VESC, a revamp from Fungineers. Up until now, they've had their up to 20S version, so up to 84 volts, has been the Thor 300. And they just released the Thor 301, which is right here. And it's installed here. So this is a Thor 301 in the Fungineers cast aluminum box. This is a core kit that I just finished assembling with a 20S2P P30B pack in the rear. And this is gonna go into a board. And so I'm gonna configure this, set this up, test it a little bit before it goes out to the owner of the board. And we're gonna take a look first, just really quickly, at the Thor 301. I have an original Thor 300 here and a Thor 400 here. And the board that this is going into is using these beautiful, most amazing TFL WTF varials, gold center, black quarter panels, really pretty combo. And this is a chance to showcase that at the board garage, I'm now doing custom laser engraving onto rails. The owner of the board, their name is here. That's why I taped it up, because it's their name. These are the rails that I'm going to be using on my own board whenever on Earth I get around to building my high voltage board with the Thor 400. So these were my practice rails. You can take a look. I did a lot of practice on the inside surface with engraving values, testing out the laser. But what I have come to is, so on the lighter portion, using some laser ink, I'm able to get that VESC logo as a dark mark on there. It's not perfect. I got one set of rails where they are perfect, but I like being able to put that there because it is engraved. It's not a sticker. Over here, I lasered on the 126 volt and the logo for the Fast Pack, which is my 30S 1P model that I'm releasing this month. And this is really popular in the local Onewheel chat. There's the DiCaprio laugh, so I got that lasered on there. So that's fun. And the other rail has Board Garage logo and Long Island, New York. And on the underside, some words of inspiration. Build it once, build it right. Anyway, so now that that's out of the way, the Thor 301 is right here, and I like it. It looks like it was designed, as far as I know it was, by the designer of the Thor 400, which is the up to 32S. So they say. I remain skeptical of limits. So for me, this will be on 30S. But it looks like it was designed by the same designer. A lot of the design language is the same. And it is a pretty far cry from the original Thor 301. I'm gonna cut to a slightly tighter lens. This is my wide angle lens. And rather than just continuing to hold it up to the lens, I'm gonna swap to a closer angle. All right, so zooming in, this is the original Thor 300. Obviously not literally this VESC, but this model of VESC is what's in my daily driver board. I have a video on the board that I built for myself to ride every day. This is the model of VESC that is in it. And so this is being retired, discontinued, sunsetted, whatever word you'd like to use. And this is on the way out. This was pulled from this box here in order to install the 301. So this is gonna go into a board, as I mentioned, and I'll set that up, test it in a bit. And so this is the Thor 301. And you can see the Thor 301 is a lot busier. As far as I can tell, the original 300 is populated on the top and the bottom of the PCB. This one, the underside looks bare and it's all on the top side. The power stage, which is that bottom thing on the aluminum PCB where all the actual current really runs through, it is different, not just in the cutouts because of the capacitors, but the components are different. The MOSFETs are different. I can read the labeling on them and they are indeed different. So the MOSFET choice is different from the 300 to the 301. And they're obviously different on the Thor 400 because the Thor 400 is for higher voltage than 84 volts. So I like the Thor 301 a lot. I have the pinout printed here because I'm a boomer when it comes to paper. So I like having sheets of paper with pinouts on them so I can just take it from the bench and use it when I'm wiring things up. And the pinouts, honestly, aside from the electronic changes, of which, as far as I can tell, there are a few, just the practical quality of life changes between the 300 and the 301 are things that I appreciate. Mainly the COM port is separated. What does that mean? That means that if you're connecting a BMS, like an Enoid or the Fungineers VESC BMS, to the VESC, that's on a separate port from the UART port, which I use for the tilt remote. So and on here, it's the same header. So I gotta like branch off the 5 volt and the ground. In here, it's its own little port, plug it in separately. I love that. And I do appreciate that it's still a 2-layer PCB, but on the 301, they've essentially just hard mounted it. So you have a metal post screwed in, bolted all the way, and then the pins are just soldered between the two, and there are a lot of them. And the structure between this is very sound without the use of the goop. I appreciate that because that is how the Thor 400 is. You'll notice if you've seen a Thor 400 that there are metal mounting posts that this thing just gets directly screwed to. That is a wise idea. I appreciate that. So these are just my thoughts. I have not tested these yet. I will test at least one of them when I get this board together today. And what I'm gonna look at first is, well, the thing that sticks out with the Thor 300 is how noisy it is. This is supposed to be quieter because the DC to DC converter that brings battery power down to 5 volts and stuff for the lights, 12 volts, is supposed to be much more robust on the 301. So it is said. And so in this board, I put in AvaSpark laser beams on the headlights, which are pretty bright. And on my board, when they're run at full brightness, it's really loud. You get that loud lightsaber hum, but we'll see how quiet this is. Bit of an interactivity difference. So on the Thor 300, you just press it and it turns on and then it beeps when it's done booting up. This one, you have to press and hold it until it beeps and then it starts to boot up. So like this doesn't do it. You have to, and then you gotta wait for it to boot. And now it's booted. If you listen really close, it sounds like the buzzer beeper is doing like a double click. It's like a click click kind of thing. And then it boots up. I'm all over with the lens. I'm so used to the wide angle lens, but it's booted. That's the battery meter. And the animation is running. And then to turn it off, press and hold, but it doesn't make any sort of audio cue. It just turns off. So that's fine. So that's different, but it's learnable. To turn it on, long press, turn it off, long press. So long press, beep, wait. Now it's on, boot animation, long press, no audio cue, but it turns off. So, okay. All right, so this core with the P30B pack is going to be going into a board with these most amazing, beautiful laser engraved rails. And this all will go back in the box, and hopefully the Thor 400 will make it into an actual board this month, because, you know. So this is my personal board, this is my daily driver, Thor 300 in here, and to turn it on, you just press it once, wait for it to boot up, and it beeps, and it has booted up. 300, or rather the 301, a bit different. You have to press and hold it until it beeps. There's no beep that signals that it is booted up and that reflow package is running. It just, you just see the lights happen. And so, same status lights. And I'm gonna stick the mic down in this area and we'll compare the noise profile, because the 301 with the LEDs on full brightness is pretty loud. First testing on this thing is really quiet. Thor 301. This board also has the Spark laser beams set to max brightness, so same headlight. The new tire, forgive the squeak. That is quiet. That is dead quiet. Except for the squeaky tire, but that is quiet. Nice. That is a big improvement. That is impressive. All right, I'm just gonna take this for a quick test ride, make sure it's working well, and this will go to its owner. So by the time I'm recording this voiceover, I've done a bit more testing on the Thor 301, both in ride and also on the bench, and overall, I'm very impressed. It's a very cool piece of kit. It's a obvious improvement in design, both in terms of its performance and its stability, and that is something I definitely appreciate. If you have a Thor 300 in your board like I do and it's working, leave it alone. There's no reason to replace an existing working component with something just because it's a newer version. If you have a Thor 300 based board and that VESC fails for some reason, replacing it with a 301 is probably a good idea. And I am happy to see that this change was made. It pretty much addresses, from what I can see at this moment, any of the issues that I may have had with the Thor 300. And so very much appreciative of that. There's still a bit of weird LED issues that I occasionally run into when it comes to like the Thor and the Fungineers lights. So far I've been able to iron them all out, and so that is positive. I believe they also are revising the LEDs, and that's also a good thing. And so currently, the 301 is a very impressive piece of kit. Definitely something that I will build with again in the future and feel pretty comfortable, using in an integrated system like a full board build. I hope this was at least a bit helpful, hopefully a bit informative, maybe a little bit entertaining, and I appreciate your viewership as always, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.